Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new class of Hatch. Picking up from the last conversation on arrays and loops, today our focus will be on how to define and call a function. Now, essentially, what this means is how to create small blocks of code and minimize them into a particular button, or should I say, a magic word that you can use rather than writing the whole piece of code itself. All right, I know too much of words. So let's just go to design mode and set up our scene. Essentially, I would want to remove the ground object. I would want to remove the cylinder object. I see that my box object is here, but it's rotated in a weird way. Do you notice that? That's because if I come to Y, you see the Y degree is 45. If I make it 0, you see it straightens itself out. Let's try to manipulate the Y a little bit. As you can see, in rotation, the Y-axis will make the box rotate left and right. Okay, cool. So I want to decrease the height of this box a little bit. So let's make its Y scale into 0.5. And I want it to stretch across left and right, front and back for maybe 50 points. So maybe increase the scale X of it to 50 and increase the Y, the Z scale of it to 50. As you can see, we already have a flow. Finally, let's go and make the physics object of this flow static. We'll be coming into other reasons to why this should be so, but for now, let's keep it to these settings. Great. Also, I think so the color of this object a little too blue. Let me make it a little gray. Yes. Looks nice. Nice for our purposes. Right? Let me take the box object and rename it as flow, because essentially we want it to be used as a floor object, something that we walk on. Second, let's try and rename this sphere object to bullet, right? Because this we want to be a bullet that we're going to use as we shoot. We'll soon be creating the shoot function as I described to you how to use functions at all in coding. Let's change the color to a slight black, and obviously let's reduce the size of it. I see the scale of it is 1, 1, 1. Let's turn it into 0 0.5, 0 0.5 and 0 0.5. As you can see, the size of this sphere object, renamed now as the bullet, has reduced. Cool. Let's move on to the next part. Let's also bring in an environment so it's a little bright. As you can see, we have an environment, but it doesn't exactly look like a sky. So there's one quick trick I'll show you here. With my gradient sky selected, if you see over here, I have an option for shading effect. Let's choose atmosphere. There, what a nice morning sky. Let's lift the sun up a little bit. What axis do you think that should fall on? As you can see, sun position here, Y is 0. Let's increase that, and you can see it's the morning time. Great. Now let's get back to code. So we have our basic flow, we have our sky, and we have a bullet. Let's start understanding what's a function. So, and function is especially something that does a lot of things for you. Like for example, let me just create a simple function. This is how you create a function. Type function. It becomes orange. Give it a name. Let's say hi. Let's say this is the name of the function. Say hi should be repeated by a circular bracket. The circular bracket is very important, but we'll not get into this now. The circular bracket are followed by a curly bracket. Now, as you can see, this is how a function should be written. What should happen is that within the curly bracket, let me go there and press enter. You get some space. Whatever you do within this space between the curly brackets, say hi will do with the call of a single magic word, which is say hi. So let me just go and write what the say hi function should do. Essentially, I want it to show me or give me a message like this. Hi guys, right? So this is where we have defined a function. Let me just call this a function definition, right? So if I run script right now, nothing happens. Why do you think so? That's because we have only made the function. We have made the magic word but we have not used the magic word. When we use a magic word, we call it function calling or calling a function, right? And this is how we do it. Once a function has been written, to call the function, we use say hi. Do you see the name followed by the circular bracket? I told you circular brackets are important, right? So when you're calling a function, you simply write the name of the function and then you follow it up with a circular bracket. As you can see, the word function is preceded by say hi when I'm making the function, when I'm defining the function. And when I'm using it, I simply write the name of the function followed by curly brackets. Let's run the script, see what happens. Say hi. Did you see that? Let's say I want to say hi several times. So let's go for say hi, and I'll just copy paste that just to show you what this will do. Say hi. So as you can see, it says it 4 times. What if I put it into a loop? Do you remember how loops work? For I equals to 0, as long as I is less than, let's say, 15, I will increase I. Funny. Great. Now in the for loop, I will call say hi function. Say hi. Right? Now let's see what happens. Let me reset. And then let me run the script. Do you see it said hi guys 15 times. Awesome, right? Cool. Let's go a little more deeper into the rounded circular brackets. What this does is like, it's like your phone. You get a message, you get a notification, right? And then when you open the message, you get to see what's inside the message. So this part is like a input from the outside. Can you see? Let's just rename this function from say hi to say something. And inside that we will write a special name, like for example sentence, right? Now this is called creating an input for the function. This input can be used inside the function. So if I go to hatch.log, instead of writing hi guys, I can simply write sentence, obviously without any double quotes. What's happening here is sentence is nothing but a box within which you will be putting some information. Like for example, a sentence. Hey guys, do you want to meet up? And when I do hatch.log, this variable sentence will show what message goes in. So now let's go and call this function. Now if I simply call say something, let's see what happens. Let's run script. Nothing happened. It says undefined. That's because we didn't put any input into this function. You see here, we have to give an input. Now don't go and write sentence. Sentence makes sense only within the function. Let's put in an actual text. So open double quotes and over there write hi guys, let's meet up. Right? Let's run the script and see what happens. Hi guys, let's meet up. What happened? When you called the function, hi guys, let's meet up became a variable known as sentence, which went inside the function. This sentence then got shown to us because of this internal function called hatch.log. Making sense? Great. So this input led to this output. As soon as you put some food in the cooking pan, you want to cook it and to create a lovely dish you want to eat. Same thing happens with functions. I hope this makes sense. Great. Let's see what else we can do. So here I said, say something, hi guys, let's meet up. Let's try and put a number in there. Let's put 5. Run script. 5. You see, it can also take in numbers from outside. It can also take in some information about the other things. Like let's go to bullet and let's go to bullet.getX. So what's happening here is say something will take bullet.getX as an input. This input will be turned into a variable. What's the name of the variable? Sentence. And sentence will then show us what the answer is. So let's get the X of the bullet, and it's at 0. Let's check. Let's go to design. Let's go to bullet. Can you see the x of bullet is 0? Great. Now let's do something more complicated. So in the function definition, I'll go and write shoot. So I want to create a shoot function. For this function, I don't think I would need any input. What I would rather need is information from the bullet and change the information. Great. So understand again, we are defining the function here, which we'll be using later here. Great. So what will function do? Let z equals to bullet dot get z. So essentially, I am trying to create a variable called z inside the shoot function where I'm gonna save the z of the bullet, right? And now I want to launch a timer. Let's create a timer. Let's call this timer go front. Now, if you remember, 1000 over here means it will happen every second. I want this timer to run very quickly. So instead of every second, let me do it every 20 milliseconds. Now that's fast, right? Great. So now what we want to do is we want to change the bullet's Z position. So to do that, we'll go to bullet.zz, right? Over here, we will put Z's value at an increased number. For example, Z is currently at, let's just quickly check out what Z is at. Can you see the Z of the bullet is at -5. Let's increase the Z. As you see, as I increase the Z to a bigger number, it goes back. But for me to make it go in front, I have to reduce the Z. Great? Cool. So the timer that I'm creating should essentially reduce Z, not increase it, right? So let's do a Z equals to Z plus 1, which means Z minus 1 actually, which means if Z is 5, then it will become 4. If it is 4, then it will become 3. If it is 3, then it will become 2, right? And after that, once we have changed the value of Z, we will make Z into, we'll put Z as an input for bullet.z, setz function. Do you see how inputs work? Hatch.log, bullet.setz, these all take inputs, while functions like bullet.getz do not take inputs. Great. So let's now call this function shoot. If I run the script, you see the ball went ahead. Great. Awesome. Now it seems that I want to use shoot whenever I click on this screen. So for that, let's create a special event detector. Great. What's an event detector? Event detector is when something happens, especially when I click on the screen. Whenever I click on the screen, whatever is written inside should happen. And what should we want it to do? We want it to shoot. So see, I am calling the function within the event detector, which will ensure that whenever I click the screen, shoot function is called. Let's run it. Are you ready? Let's click the screen. Whoa, it went in front. But something's happening. I'm clicking it again and again and I don't shoot again. That's because this function is created in such a way that the timer keeps on making the bullet go front. Rather, we want the timer to die every time I call the shoot function and launch a new timer, right? So that would mean that the bullet should come exactly to where it was in the beginning of my shooting. So let's create that. All right. So I'm going to create a let original z variable here, and I'm going to say bullet.getz, right? Now let's go and change this let z function inside to original z. Always, whenever I want to use the shoot function, the original z should be the place that the bullet lands up in before going forward. Cool. So let z equals to original z. Original z is the initial place where the bullet is. This will ensure that as the function keeps on running, whenever I click, it will reset and the bullet will come back. Let's try it. And I assure you there will be some problem. But let's understand what the problem will be. Run script. As you can see, if I click, it will go ahead. If I click again, it says timer ID go front already exists. Why do you think it does so? So let's talk about timers. Now timer is something that once it is set, it keeps on happening. The only way to reset and use a timer again is to kill it or to deactivate it. Now how do we deactivate a timer? We go to timers and there is a special function here called remove timer, within which we have to put some text. Do you remember again? This is the input of a function that we have decided. Now what should be the input? The same name that we created for the initial timer, go front. Let's put go front here. Great. So what is my function doing? The first thing that my function is doing is saving the original z, right? Then it's killing the old timer, okay, and then it's starting the new timer. This will ensure that every time I click on the screen, the old timer dies and a new timer comes into place. So I will not get this message again. Go front already exists, because we cannot use go front again if it's already working. What's the use? If you have a phone, why would you want to buy a new phone? Same way, if you want to buy a new phone, you must throw your old phone away. Let's not say throw. You must give it to somebody else and let's reuse a new phone. Great. Now, what is happening to Z? Remember, we don't want to change the original Z. That's why we are not doing original Z equals to original Z minus 1. We are taking the current, this, we are taking the value of Z, which was set to original Z, and then we are reducing that value every time this function runs, every 20 milliseconds. So now, let's run the script and see what happens. See, every time I click, the ball is reset to its initial position. And then this Z is being decreased because of this line, right? And then this ensures that the timer that we created the first time gets killed and a new timer is created for us to use again. Now you see, because I coded all of this into a function called shoot, I can easily call shoot whenever I click on the screen. I can call shoot as many times as I would want to. We can also create a new timer. Automatic shooter. Now I am not in control of the shoot function anymore. The computer is. And every 5,000 milliseconds, which means every 5 seconds, the shooting will happen automatically. And can you imagine if I had to code all of this again and put this in here? That is why we create function. The function is then compressed and we can use the function as and when we want. So let's see what happens now. It didn't work. Can we guess why? Yes, it works now. So an automatic timer will start working after 5 seconds. There you go. See, every 5 seconds it runs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. So this is how you essentially create functions and use them, right? Let's just try to redo this whole thing again so that we have a clearer understanding of how to use a function. So let's create a function called jump. What will jump do? Jump will make the ball go up, right? How do we define the function? We must first write the word function ahead of the name. So we have created a function called jump. Now what's the first bracket that we need? The circular bracket. This is where our input goes in. For now, we do not need an input, right? Then we open our curly brackets, right? Let's just put our paragraph in between so there's enough space for us to write. Now, every time I call the jump function, I want the bullet to end up where it is and then jump up, right? So for that, we need to create an original y position. Let's create an original y position outside the function. Let original y equals to, can you tell me what? Can you tell me what? Bullet dot get y. Great. Now what would we want to do inside the jump function? First, let's create a new y variable. And this new y variable will be basically starting off at the original place, which is original y, original y. Great. Now we want to create a timer. So let's go to timer and we will call it jumper. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Jumper, right? Now I want this jumper to be called every 20 milliseconds. And what's going to happen here? I'm going to try and increase the y position of this sphere to go up, right? So let's get the bullet.set y function. Where is it? Oh, right here. Bullet.set y. So remember, the new y is saved at the original place once we call the function one time, right? Now, remember, we must reduce y. Actually, in this case, the higher you go, y goes up. Let's show you that. If I go to bullet, and if I increase the y, yes, with y, if you increase, it will go higher. Makes sense? Let's keep it at 2. Great. All right. So what we want to now do is we want to increase the value of y by 1. So how do we do that? New y equals to new y plus 1. And inside set y, we will put whatever new y has become, which will make the ball go up. Great. Remember, there's one more thing. Every time I call this function, I want hatch.create timer, this jumper function, this jumper timer to die. So how do I do that? I go hatch dot remove timer. Make sure you understand the spellings, or you can go directly from here, right there. Great. All right. And what should I put here? I should put a string called jumper. So I want to kill the old timer if there was any, and then create the new timer. The first time you call this function, the very first time, there will be no old timer. But in that case, this will not remove anything, but it's not harmful. For every other time that we click and call the jump function, this will ensure that the old timer gets removed. Great. So this is good for us. So now let's create a on scene clicked event. Within that, what's the name of the function that I just wrote? Guys, remember? Jump. J-U-M-P. And remember, open brackets, doesn't take any inputs. Let's see what happens. So it went up. Every time I click the screen, it just jumps up. Make sense? Great. So I hope every code that you write within a function. If it's a big piece of code, you can go here and click this to minimize it, and then use it as many times as you would like, in any way that you would like. Whether you want to call it on a on scene clicked, whether you want to call it with a timer, or even if you want to use a button on the keyboard to call it. Let me show you how to do that. Hatch dot on key down. What does this do? This checks to see if I'm pressing a particular button. Let's say I'm pressing space. So let's use the if condition. If, I hope you guys remember this, otherwise there will be another video where I will be showing you how to use this. If event dot key equals to, let's say, this, the H button on my laptop or J button on my laptop, right? In that case, I want to call jump, right? So let's see how this works. Now you won't be able to see my keyboard, but trust me, I'm pressing the jump button. Great. See, so whenever I press J, it just jumps up. Let's make it jump a little slower. What do you think? How do I make it jump a little slower? By increasing this number, this milliseconds. Maybe let it be called every half a second, right? Let's run script, and there you go. It's jumping slowly. Okay guys, so I hope you had fun. If you have any doubts, I will be opening the comment section. Please place it over there. And I tried my best, and thank you for your patience. Have a great time coding. Bye.